Hey guys, welcome into this segment from our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. In order to get the full podcast, go down to the description, go to Blog Talk Radio / The Onside Kick to download the full thing. Enjoy, everybody.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with no one. I'm not joined by anybody. A solo podcast here for a special Onside Kick podcast here on Most Valuable Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, well, actually, you're listening because there's no video for this podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you may be, thank you for giving me your time today to kind of bring you a special podcast. And the reason why I'm doing this is I know Mark and I recorded the Onside Kick, the usual Onside Kick, on Monday night, and we talked about Kirk Cousins, talked about Alshon, talked about the Steelers and Antonio Brown. But then that next day, it was yesterday, it was Tuesday morning, the Vikings decided to waive Adrian Peterson, and then today, as I am recording this, is about 5 after 5 here in Chicago, and it's Wednesday, and Jimmy Garoppolo. This morning, Jimmy Garoppolo will not be traded. Patriots say, I'm keeping on to him. So what I wanted to do for you guys is I have a special Onside Kick podcast for you where I'm basically going to talk about those two instances and the news that kind of wraps around them. I'm going to start off with Adrian Peterson and kind of answer the question, or try to, of where he will be playing in 2017, this next upcoming year. And then I'm going to look at the Jimmy Garoppolo side in two kind of phases. First, I'm going to look at what does this mean for Garoppolo's future now that the Patriots say they're not going to trade him. And then I'm going to go into how that decision will affect the NFL draft that will be happening in a couple of months. So it's going to be a great podcast. I want to thank you guys again for joining me, and let's get right into it. Adrian Peterson waived by the Minnesota Vikings early Tuesday morning, and the one thing I got to throw a shout out to, Barcode 0954 commented on the Ask MVP Ricky video. Hey, where's Ricky? Is he crying because AP is going to free agency? And the first thing I want to look at is, of course, this is going to be where will he be playing, but I want to start out with the team that he is leaving, because to me, when it comes down to all the teams, the Vikings still have a shot to re-sign Adrian Peterson, but are they going to? And that's the thing we're kind of taking through. I am a Vikings fan, so my first thought was, great, I am going to cry today because my best player, basically the best player on my team, is being waived and is going to free agency. However, I have had time to think about this. I've had time to mull it over, and I'll be honest, this move makes sense. I'm going to say it for all Viking fans out there that might be panicking still with this move. This move makes sense for the Minnesota Vikings, and the reason why I've come to that conclusion of this making sense is it's really a two-prong attack, where if you look at the last 3 seasons for Adrian Peterson, 2014, 2015, 2016, how many games has he played? He has played a whopping 20 games. He played 1 game in 2014, injured. Then he played 16 games in 2015, and then 2016, he played only 3 games. And of course, we had an injury in there. We had he didn't play 1 season because of his off the field issues that had him suspended by the league. So I think it's a number of like the last 40 some Viking games. Adrian Peterson has, like I said, only played 20 games since the start of 2014. And really, to me, looking into it, that's a big reason why the Vikings have probably said, why are we going to pay you? His contract for base salary this upcoming year was going to be almost $12 million. And with the roster bonus, he was going to be an $18 million cap hit for this Vikings team. So the business side, I can see it from the Vikings now having a few days to digest it. Adrian Peterson has not been on the field. Why are you going to overpay for somebody who has only played one full season in the past 3 seasons? And also, it also comes down to, what does this team really need, and what is this NFL all based on? Do you need a dominant running back to win a Super Bowl? Or maybe the Vikings can say, hey, you know what? We like the kid in McKinnon, Jerick McKinnon, who we have behind you. We can re-sign Matt Asiata at a cheaper cost than Adrian Peterson, run McKinnon and Asiata in the backfield, be fine there, and let's go take that money that we would be spending on you and maybe go out and get a wide receiver, get somebody that's going to help Sam Bradford this next season, because the weakest position on this offense for the Vikings is the wide receiver position. Our best wide receiver was Stephon Diggs, and I know that Adam Thielen had a good year this year. He had a solid year. I had him in fantasy, and I loved I loved some games from him because he was hit or miss on the fantasy side, but he became a reliable target for Sam Bradford. But really, besides that, I mean, Patterson hasn't been anything to write home about as a wide receiver. He's been more of a returner, but really he's no Devin Hester, but I know that's kind of an asinine thing to say. And then you look at the guy we drafted last year in the first round, Laquan Treadwell. Didn't really hear his name much at all because he didn't play that much. And that's a big issue for this offense, is how do you expect Sam Bradford to do anything? First off, the offensive line was decimated with injuries. And then the receiving core is so weak that it's one of those things where we need to go and, instead of spending that money on Adrian Peterson, let's go spend that money somewhere else. And like I said, Adrian Peterson, it's not a foregone conclusion that he's not going to come back to Minnesota, because he could still re-sign with the Vikings. However, I don't think he's going to. And I think that Adrian Peterson will be playing in a different uniform next year. But before I get into it, I just wanted to throw out a thought in my head. I want to throw this out to my Viking fans out there. Throwing this question out to you. Let me know down below in the comment section or on Twitter at Ricky Widmer what you guys think. Now that we have this cap space kind of freed up, we're not going to have an $18 million cap hit from Adrian Peterson. Do we make a pass at Alshon Jeffrey? Just throwing it out there. I am just throwing it out there. Not saying Jeffrey would want to come play for Minnesota, but do we make a pass at him and try to maybe throw that money at a position that we need on the offensive side? I just want to throw it out there. But back to Adrian Peterson. Where's he going to play? And the thing that the thing that got me kind of like, it made me go, today, was there was an article on ESPN that, and the title just read, Vikings GM wants Adrian Peterson to return. Like I said, the Vikings are still going to try to get him back at a reduced cost. But then it said, Raiders catch running back's attention. And I looked at that and I went, why? And I get it. Like, everybody and their grandmother is going to throw some money at Adrian Peterson if you need a dominant running back in this league. There are a few teams out there that are going to say, nah, we're good. One of the teams, just for example, that I'm thinking of, obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers, after franchise tagging Le'Veon Bell, aren't going to say, no, let's go ahead and offer a contract to Adrian Peterson. Of course, Dallas, a team that Adrian in the past has said, hey, this is a team I wouldn't mind going to play for. Of course, they're not going to say, sure, let's bring him in. No, we are good with Zeke in the backfield. But I saw the Raiders, and I want to start with them. I'm going to look at a couple different teams, but I want to start with the Oakland Raiders, because they were a team early on. I was kind of going through, okay, who are some of the teams that I could see Adrian Peterson signing with? And I'll be honest, the Raiders kind of weren't on my radar, mainly because my first thought was, well, they have Latavius Murray. However, you look at it, Latavius Murray, and as of right now, he is a free agent, or expected to be a free agent this upcoming offseason, or this offseason that we're in right now. And I look at that and I go, I could see why that could intrigue you. You have a young team, a team that has a young quarterback who is very solid in Derek Carr. They have the wide receiver position all locked down with Crabtree and Cooper. They have an offensive line there that they've built. They have a defense that, of course, is it a perfect defense? No, but they are building a defense. They have stuff to build on, is basically what I'm saying. In Oakland, maybe they're on my radar now. After I looked into it, the Raiders could be a sneaky team to try to get Adrian Peterson because, like I said, they have Derek Carr. They have a solid quarterback. I mean, I know he's coming off of an injury, but I'm not as concerned for Derek Carr coming off of his injury than I am for like a Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota with I think it's the fibula that he broke in his leg. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes back with that, especially when you need to use your legs, even if you're not a runner, how you need to use your legs just to plant and throw as a quarterback to get that strength from your legs and your arm. But the Raiders, they could be a sneaky team. I'm going to say it. They could be a sneaky one for Adrian Peterson, mainly just because of what they have around them. And you might be saying, well, Ricky, what does their cap situation look like? And right now, they have about just under $48 million. So right now, the exact number is $47,945,414 million. That's a lot of money in cap space. They have the 9th most cap space out of all the NFL teams this offseason. I look at that and say, it all comes down to the Raiders. What would you rather do? Would you rather go after Adrian Peterson, who, let's be honest, Adrian Peterson this upcoming year was supposed to make in his contract $18 million was his cap space that he was supposed to be hit with out of his 3 years of these last 3 years on the contract. Well, the last 2, this upcoming one would have been the 3rd. It was about a $15 million cap hit, a $12 million cap hit, and then, like I said, the $18 million cap hit. So it's one of those things where you go, are you willing to throw that kind of money out there, or do you want to take your chances with Latavius Murray? Because right now, Latavius Murray, like I said, he's a free agent coming into this offseason. He's coming off of a salary of, wait for it, $675,000. That is not a lot of money. This kid, 26-year-old kid, he is going to cash in. Am I saying he's going to get as much money as Adrian Peterson? No. However, he is going to cash in because he did have a solid year and was a pretty good option for the Raiders moving forward. So anybody that's looking for a running back might make a pass at Latavius Murray. So for the Raiders, it comes down to 2 things. A, what's the money going to look like? If you're going to have to overpay Murray, you might say, you know what, we're going to let you go. Hey, Adrian, how would you like to play for us? And have that kind of a back in your backfield. Also, you might not have to pay Adrian. See, it gets tricky because Adrian Peterson, just by name alone, people hear that, boom, best running back in the league, right? Best running back in the league, especially when he's on the field. Did you not see that comeback season that he had after the ACL injury? Did you not see that season? This is a guy who, of course, he's the best running back in the league, has the potential to be the best running back in the league. I would say the best running back in the league, arguably last year, was probably Ezekiel Elliott, is what everyone would say. That's why he was in the running for Rookie of the Year that Dak Prescott cut in half for him. But the Raiders are interesting, is what I'm trying to say. The team that I think of, just to move on to another one, that this was the first team that I said, yeah, I could see them making a pass at him. And their head coach in McAdoo said they're going to take a hard look at him, is the New York Football Giants, because they are also a playoff team. They also have wide receivers in Odell Beckham Jr., Sterling Shepard. They got Tavares King coming up, and they also have the tight end position locked down at solid target in Will Tye for Eli to go to. Of course, OBJ is the top dog out there for wide receivers, but they have the quarterback, they have the wide receiver. They don't got the running back at all. And that would be a big hole for Adrian Peterson to kind of fill. However, it all comes down to how are you going to work out the money? Because I said the Raiders, they got the money to throw at them. They have just under $48 million to throw at the Adrian Peterson. The Giants, they aren't that lucky. They only have, as of right now, according to SpotRack.com, they only have just under $17 million of cap space this upcoming year. So the Giants, it's going to be interesting. They're going to the reason why they're taking a hard look at Adrian Peterson is they got to figure out the money to me. Because if you're, let's say Adrian Peterson, just based off what his last contract was. Now, of course, you might get a little bit less off of that because you might be able to throw in there, hey, dude, you've only played one full season in the past 3 years. Give us a break. He might say, okay, I'm going to give you a break a little bit and you'll shave off a few million. But even if you get him for the $15 million, let's just say it's $12 million, just like the cap hit that he had this past season for the Vikings, you're only looking at about $5 million then to work with other holes that you have. So to me, for the Giants are the team on paper you look at and go, boom, Adrian Peterson goes there. They are going to rival the New York football, or I almost said the New York football Giants, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. I'm talking about the New York football Giants. They're going to rival America's team in the Dallas Cowboys for the top dog in the NFC East. However, it all comes down to money, and the Giants, looking at it, they might not have the dough to give Adrian Peterson the money that he wants. It's going to be interesting to see how much Adrian Peterson shaves off another team. This is one I heard today, heard the outlets on ESPN talk about this team. I believe Colin Cowherd mentioned this team, or it was Christine Leahy on the Herd mentioned this team, and this is a team I thought of. For a hot minute, but I really didn't go anywhere further than that. This is a team that has about $25.5 million in cap space this offseason, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. And, I mean, ideally you look at them and you go, yeah, when they had beast mode, they're a pretty good offense. That run game kind of took some pressure off of Russell Wilson. However, it's going to be one of those things of, would you rather spend that money on the offensive line? Would you rather, because they drafted CJ Prosise, and Prosise looked pretty good in that system before he went down with an injury. You know what you're saying, Ricky, running back with an injury, why not get the best running back in the game? However, look at it this way. How many games has Adrian Peterson played in the last 3 seasons? You can throw that argument at Adrian Peterson as well. And the Seahawks, to me, it sounds too good to be true. It sounds like a dream-like scenario. I think the Seahawks they're not even going to look at Adrian Peterson, I think, to be honest. I think they're going to look and go, hey, you know what? He's going to eat up most of our cap space if we go out and get him. We got CJ Prosise. He did some good things, looked really good for us in our offense until he got injured. We're going to bank on the young kid. We're going to go spend our money somewhere else. So that moves me on to the next team that I'm looking at in the Green Bay Packers. And Viking fans, your heart probably just did what mine did under my shirt. It just sunk straight down to my stomach. And if you're a Green Bay Packer fan out there, you're probably laughing right now because you're like, haha, serves you right. Brett Favre 2.0. The Packers could be an interesting one. I mean, they got to see what Adrian Peterson could do against them a lot during his career in Minnesota. They do have the money to go get him, too. They have about $42.5 million of cap space, and the running back position hasn't really been the best for the Green Bay Packers. And really it's been, Eddie Lacy last year, all we heard was, how Eddie Lacy got in shape. then another injury. They had to settle with, I believe, brought on, what was it, Christine Michael they brought on. He then gets injured, and then they eventually settle for Ty Montgomery, the wide receiver, switching to running back, who, thank God, he was able to do what he's going to do. And I mean, Eddie Lacy is a free agent. It comes down to me with Eddie Lacy of not just how much is he going to make, because yet again, Eddie Lacy is a guy coming off of his rookie contract. He was only getting paid under $1 million last year. He was getting paid like not even $900,000 last season in just base salary. Overall, he had the $1 million cap hit last year. But the thing is, and that was injured reserve money. Before that, his cap hit, was $925,000, and the Packers could make a pass at him. And I will say this: if Adrian Peterson does go to the Green Bay Packers, it is going to hurt. It is going to hurt to see him go to the Packers. If I see him in that Packer uniform, it's not gonna feel right. I don't care if Adrian Peterson leaves. If he doesn't come back to Minnesota, I don't care. Just anywhere but Green Bay. Anywhere but Green Bay. But you look at that team, and why wouldn't he want to go there? Aaron Rodgers, they've got the wide receivers, they've got a ton, they've got everything figured out on offense except the running back position. And he could just go there, lock in. Aaron Rodgers is there. You've got Nelson, Cobb, and Devonta Adams. Even Gmo, the old Fighting Illini wide receiver, coming up big for them late last season, and Geronimo Allison. And really, they make as much sense to me as the Oakland Raiders, because they've got the wide receiver position locked down, not just one, but two. They've got the quarterback. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, older than Derek Carr, but really it's Aaron Rodgers. There's a whole reason why we had a segment late in the playoffs of who could be the GOAT, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is that good. However, the GOAT is Tom Brady. Sean, you don't have to worry about anything. But yeah, this Packer team kind of scares me. And one team I just want to throw out there for fun. And the reason why I'm throwing it out there for fun is, do I expect him to go to this team? No. But just like the Green Bay Packers, this is a team in the division that can make a pass at Adrian Peterson. They have, just over $36 million in cap space that they could use. So they've got some money to throw at them. The Detroit Lions. What if the Detroit Lions also go, hey, our wide receivers aren't as good as Green Bay. I mean, Golden Tate is good. Marvin Jones did some things, but really, Jordy Nelson, Cobb, Adams on a different level there, especially with Aaron Rodgers. They have Matthew Stafford. The thing is, do you think, if you're a Lions fan, listen to this, by the way, let me know down below in the comment section. Do you believe in Amir Abdullah? Do you believe in Theo Riddick? Do you believe in Zach Zenner? Of course, you take AP over any of those. Let's not be crazy. Also got to throw Dwayne Washington in there because he played at the running back position for the Lions this year as well. The Lions, I don't think they're a serious team. They're a team, though, that I looked at and I went, man, could you just imagine if Adrian Peterson went to the Detroit Lions? What would that be like? What would that be like? And that's why they're going to be my sneaky wild card team. If I had to put it to three teams, I'm gonna pick three teams that I could see Adrian Peterson in next season. I am going to go with, this is hard. I'm going to go with either the Packers, the Seahawks, or the Raiders. And I know there are a few other teams out there that I did not mention. The Redskins, if they don't get Alshon, if they go for if they're able to bring back, let's say, Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson and have room for Peterson, could they go out and say, hey, Kirk Cousins, we are going to build a team around you? Another team I look at, and this is kind of a team where I'm like, I don't think they would go after it, but it'd be interesting to see, the Indianapolis Colts. What if they say, hey, we're going to move on from Frank Gore. We're going to get Andrew Luck a better option at running back? Like I said, I don't see it happening. They're just a team that popped to my head. But really, besides the teams I mentioned and talked about in nauseum, the Colts are one of the teams that I think could be maybe a watch out for them. And then the other team that I mentioned in the Washington Redskins before that. But yeah, my top three, I'm going to nail it down right now. The Packers, the Raiders, and the Seahawks. I think you know what? I don't know. I want to say the Raiders, but I don't know if there's a for sure team out there. I just hope. I hope it's not the Green Bay Packers. I really, I still feel strong that maybe if they can make it work, he could end up in the Giants. To me, the Giants on paper, like the Raiders are young. The Seahawks have some questions. To me, they don't have the strongest of offensive lines there in Seattle. Really, to me, the strongest options from an entire team standpoint are the Packers and the Giants. I just don't want to see Adrian Peterson in that yellow and green of Green Bay. It would just kill my spirit, much like I imagine it killed Packer fans to see Brett Favre in the Viking purple and gold as well. But this is where you guys come in. If you haven't already, let me know down below in the comment section. Where do you guys think Adrian Peterson's going to play next season? Where do you think he's going to play? What teams are on your radar? Give me a wild card team too. A team that not everyone's looking at that you think, whoa, this is a team that if they can get everything together, maybe make a pass at Adrian Peterson. And Viking fans, lastly, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you guys think. Talk to me. Let me know what you're feeling. Do you want Adrian Peterson to come back? Do you want him to leave? Let me know down below in the comment section. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment from the onside kick. If you think the fun stops there, you're wrong, because click the video right over here. What are you thinking? Come on, click it. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. Bye, everybody.